Movie, you need to get laid or you need a hug. One or the other. I mean, me personally, I'd rather get laid, but that's just me. How's it going out there, everybody? Hope you're doing well wherever you are. Repeat movie viewer, here to share my thoughts and opinions to all my family and friends and anyone else that's willing to join the club. So, Evil Dead Burn, the sixth installment in the Evil Dead franchise that has been going on since 1981. That's right, the Evil Dead franchise is now 45 years old. Damn, I'm getting old. So, as of right now of this recording, I've actually watched the movie 3 consecutive times since it came out Thursday here at local draft house. Not so much because I really enjoyed it, I wish that was the case, but mostly because after the first 2 viewings, I spent more time looking down and trying to take notes, which is not easy when you're in a dark room. You try not to use your phone, and the movie doesn't have a whole lot of bright moments throughout the film. So, but you make do with what you got, no big deal. But I decided to watch it a third time earlier today just so I can fully immerse myself and not have to worry about any note taking of any kind. Just watch the movie and enjoy it and judge it accordingly. So here we are. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of the review, I always like to go over the different cast members of the movie, kind of give credit where credit's due, so to speak. So in advance, and I probably do this in every video going forward, if I get your name wrong, if I mispronounce it, I apologize in advance. I'm just not very good with names. But first off, the movie is actually directed by Sebastian Vanasek, which, you know what, this is actually kind of cool. I knew this going into the film, and I somehow kind of forgot and refound out when I was doing some research on the film after watching it. This guy actually directed Infested, which me and CJ actually saw at our first Fantastic Fest a couple of years ago, 2023. So that's pretty cool. I think it was because of that movie is the reason why he was asked to do this particular movie in general. I think Sam Raimi was impressed enough to give him reins on this one, so that's pretty cool. Speaking of, Sam Raimi helped produce the film along with Rob Tappert, and if you're familiar with Xena Warrior Princess, I'm sure you're familiar with Rob. And of course, I don't think Sam Raimi needs any introduction whatsoever, but at least try to give the man props. On top of that, we've got executive produced by Bruce Campbell, the man himself, gotta love Bruce, and Lee Cronin, who actually directed the last film, Evil Dead Rise, and of course his Mummy movie came out a few months ago. I need to watch that one again, but I know that he did actually say that both that movie, The Mummy, is actually loosely tied in with the Evil Dead franchise at this point, so that's pretty cool. So overall, the movie is produced by a lot of different people who have all had their hand in the creation of these different movies over the years, so badass. I mean, there's a lot of other names that were also involved with producing the film, but I at least wanted to stick to the main name, so no disrespect to anybody else who helped produce the film. As far as the cast is concerned, we've got Hunter Duhan as Joseph. You might remember him from the Wednesday TV show. I did see season 1 when it came out. I enjoyed it. Eventually, I'll move on to season 2. Lucianne Buchanan as Thea, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Unfortunately, I am not too familiar with any of her work prior to this film, but I may look up some of her stuff and I'll be keeping an eye out for her down the road. Sohila Yakum as Alice, the main character of the film. Turns out she is listed as being in both Dunes Part 1 and Part 2. I've only seen each movie one time each, but that's okay. I'm actually going to be watching them again before the new one comes out later on this year. So I will double check that down the road to see who exactly she played, because I really have no recollection. Tandy Wright as Susan, that's the mother character. This one actually blew my mind when I looked her up. Turns out she played the mother in Pearl, and I'm a big fan of Pearl, big fan of the X trilogy in general. Love those films. So that was actually, that one actually made my jaw drop because I did not recognize her when I was watching this new film. Errol Shand as Edgar, that's the father character. Again, not familiar with any of his work, but I'll be keeping an eye out. Maud Davey as Polly, or the grandma character. Turns out she's more of a stage actress from what I've read, and again, not familiar with anything that was listed in her filmography, but I'll tell you what, looking her up, I found out that they had to put a lot of makeup on her to make her look a little bit older than she really is, because she doesn't look like that in real life based on the pictures I saw. It's kind of like if you ever saw Estelle Getty, if it's like if you watch her in Mannequin and then watch her in Golden Girls, there's a definite difference. You're like, whoa, she looks way older here, but it's because they gave Estelle Getty a lot of different makeup to make her look older for the TV show. So it's the same exact idea as far as I'm concerned. George Puller as Will. You know what? This one actually made me laugh. Turns out I am familiar with something he did in the past when I was looking through the filmography. He played Captain Boomerang on the Flash Escape the Midnight Circus podcast. And to be honest, the only reason why I even know what the hell that is because it's a bonus feature. That particular podcast, that show, whatever you want to call it, was featured as a bonus feature on the Flash Blu-ray that came out a few years ago. I bought it on Black Friday. And yes, I own the Flash on Blu-ray. Don't hate. Stop it. Stop snickering. Stop it. It's not the worst movie ever made. Come on now. I'm not saying it's great. I'm just not saying it's terrible. Come on now. And let me go ahead and get those wonderful preliminaries out of the way. If you do like this video, feel free to hit the like button. If you have anything you want to share about the movie, whether you liked it, you didn't like it, give me some feedback. I want to hear what everyone else is thinking about the movie. And of course, if you're not subscribed yet, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. I have officially hit 40 subscribers. I've had a couple of new ones over the last couple of days, and I appreciate you who recently subscribed on top of everybody else who already has. So thank you very much. One last thing I will say about this before I get into the likes and dislikes. I am going to do my best to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. There is one aspect of this movie that I do want to get in detail about. I'll save that for later, and I'll implement a spoiler warning at that time. But for right now, I'll try to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. I'll do my best. Now, as far as some of the things that I did enjoy about this movie, first off, lots and lots of chaos. I do appreciate how we actually start the movie out with a couple of fishermen in a lake. I thought the lake looked familiar, and they brought back Jessica from the previous film. I was always wondering after the last film if they were going to touch base with the character. They totally do, and I appreciate that. And quite frankly, as I mentioned before, we have the funeral, then we get to the family house. Only a few scenes in is when the shit hits the fan, and once it does, we're not given a whole lot of time to breathe for the remainder of the film. Constant carnage candy throughout the entire freaking film. There's a couple of brief moments here and there, but they're few and far between, let me tell you. And since we're talking about that, my favorite scene of the movie that involves some of the craziest carnage involves Alice. She gets her head slammed into like some tile work that's outside of the fireplace, if I'm not mistaken. After she wakes up, there's all kinds of shit going on around her, and she is trying to crawl through the floor, trying to get from point A to point B to just get away from everything. The whole time she's doing it, there's shit going on behind her. The mom comes over and grabs her to try to get help and gets, taken away really quickly. She almost has, I think it's a bookshelf that almost falls on top of her. Now, you may think I'm ruining something, but if you saw the teaser trailer for this movie, this whole entire scene was on display. This was the first thing they showed us originally. And I was sold. And as soon as I saw that teaser, I was like, sold. I'm good. Yep, definitely want to check this one out. So that whole scene, not only is it crazy to watch for all the shit that's going on, but it's one single take. Anybody who knows me knows I absolutely love those kind of shots in film. The longer the take, the more impressed I get. And it just makes me wonder, like, how long did it take to do that? How many takes did they have to do? How much practicing did they have to do? I can't wait for this to come on Blu-ray. I hope it has bonus features on it, because I definitely want to see exactly how this was done. I'm very, very much interested in that. And if I'm being completely honest right now, after watching this for the third time today, I was watching this scene, not only was I smiling because I enjoyed the scene so much, I enjoy it that much more every time I see it, but I actually found myself laughing because that's how much I was enjoying it, all the craziness. So nice job making me laugh, guys. I appreciate that. And in conjunction with all the chaos that I just talked about, this movie is very, very gory and very cringy. There's so many gory, cringy scenes throughout the entire freaking movie. You know what's funny? I actually saw the thumbnail for Cody Leach's video before I went to go see this a third time. Haven't watched the video yet. Haven't watched any of my favorite YouTubers' reactions just yet. And I do that on purpose. I know I'm getting off topic here, but I do that on purpose because I don't want to hear anyone's opinion about the movie. Any of my favorite YouTubers, between him, Sean Chandler, Haunted Hippie, a few others. I don't do that anymore because I don't want to hear anything specific about the movie until I've had a chance to watch the movie, take down what notes, things I want to say about the film, and then actually finish my recording. Like once I'm done recording and I'm 100% satisfied with what I do, then I finally go to YouTube to check out everyone's video. And I'm not going to lie, it's been hard not to watch their videos up until now. It's been hard. There is one point of Cody's video that CJ showed me, but I'll talk about that later on. As I was saying, I saw his thumbnail, Cody Leach's thumbnail for his review before watching this the third time, and it talked about how angry the movie was. After watching this a third time, I fully understand what he's talking about, and quite frankly, I thought this before, but I think it even more so now because some of the shit that goes on in the film with all the attacks that the Deadites are doing to the non-infected characters as of yet, some of the scenes, I swear, it was so reminiscent of the Rob Zombie Halloween movies and how over the top Michael Myers tended to be whenever he was attacking people. So I totally agree with what he is talking about, undeniably. And as far as all the different cringy and gory scenes that we get here, there's so freaking many. I won't talk about most of them in detail, but I will say a few things. There's a few scenes involving like a dishwasher, a burning car, grandma's false teeth. Oh, God, that's disgusting. Just, ew. On top of that, we have situations with fish hooks. We have a boiling lake without getting too specific about it. Oh, man, too many things to talk about. I'll tell you what, I can't wait to do a spoiler review for this movie or podcast, whatever, because there's so many different scenes I want to talk about. So many different scenes I want to dissect and just go over, you know what I mean? And not have to censor everything I say, but I'll worry about that down the road. But suffice it to say that if you're a fan of the Evil Dead films, if you're going into this expecting carnage candy, damn it, you're going to get it. You are going to get plenty of carnage. Plenty. On top of all that, I absolutely love the camera work that's going on throughout certain scenes of this movie. It definitely keeps up with the tradition of the Evil Dead franchise of finding different and interesting ways to either position the camera or to shoot different scenes in order to make it just kind of stand out from your regular film. There are a couple of them that stand out for me. At one point, the camera is positioned above the actors and a Deadite is attacking some of the family members, and the camera is slowly panning this way, leading towards the door that leads to the cellar, or whatever the hell you want to call it. I love that. That's a very fun sequence. And again, it's all done in one shot. I love that. On top of that, there is one scene involving a trick with a mirror. It happens so quickly that if you blink or you're looking away, ordering something, writing notes like I did, whatever the case may be, you'll miss it. It's so quick, but it's so effective. And it makes me wonder how they did it. And I'll be honest, I love that about a movie. I love it when a movie makes me think about stuff. Like, I wonder how they did that, or I think I know how they did that. I love that shit. I love it. As far as the effects are concerned, there are plenty of good practical effects along the way. There is some CG thrown in to get the point across here and there. Some stuff I could probably understand. Okay, well, that was probably your best way to get that point across. I get it. I'm not the biggest fan of CG, but as long as it's kept minimum, I can forgive it, especially with the previous two films in the franchise. But there is one particular effect involving one of the main Deadites in the film pushing something through their face, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I've seen that movie 3 damn times, and every single time I'm just like, how did you do that effect? That looks so good. Like, holy crap. Again, can't wait to see some bonus features to see how they did it. I think if I put some thought into it, I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. But damn, it looked really good. The last major positive of this movie for me is the dinner scene. After they get back from the funeral, we get a couple of scenes around the house, and then they all sit down to have dinner as a family. I absolutely dig this scene because there's a lot of different elements going on. You've got a lot of different family laundry that's being aired out all at the same time. A lot of A lot of tensions going around between all the members of the family, especially as it pertains to Alice. Her husband's gone now. They had, I think it was a club or a restaurant, and they expect her to take care of it. She's kind of hesitant, and it causes a bit of a trickle, a little bit of tension with the parents. And the whole entire time, at this point in the movie, we already know that the father character has been infected by a deadite. So we already know that he is slowly making the descent into hell, so to speak. And the whole entire scene is just a countdown to when is he going to turn? When is he going to snap? It's almost like a melting pot that's boiling over, the lid's on top, and it's doing this shit. It's a matter of time before it finally happens. You're just waiting for the shoe to drop, so to speak. You know what I mean? And it just builds the tension the whole freaking time. Not to mention that the father keeps on grabbing different sharp metal objects and holding them into his hand that different members of the family are noticing along the way. At one point, he's got a knife. A couple of times, he's got a corkscrew. Another time, he grabs a fork, and they're noticing it, and it's just like, oh boy. In my mind, I remember watching this the first time, just thinking, who is he going to go off on first? Who's going to be the first victim? And I'll tell you what, I didn't see it coming. What he ended up doing came completely out of left field, and technically speaking is a first for the franchise. Again, if you know, you know. Didn't see it coming. Wow. That's all I'm going to say about that. I absolutely dig this scene. It's one of my favorite scenes of the film, as far as I'm concerned. Now, if there is anything about this movie that I could probably say is a mixed reaction, something I'm not 100% on par with, I think the only thing that comes to mind is maybe just the overall direction that they do with this movie, how they do something a little bit different from the formula that we're used to. And to clarify what I mean, I need to go back to Evil Dead Rise. I remember watching that the first time, and initially I had a complaint. And the complaint was, aren't we kind of doing the same damn formula that we've already done over and over again? Between number 1, number 2, number 4, and then number 5 when it came out. It's always the same damn pattern. It's always somebody finds a book or a tape recorder, reads the book with the incantation, or the incantation is read. Somebody gets infected with the evil, becomes a deadite, and starts infecting other characters along the way. That is the same formula for all those films. And when we got to Evil Dead Rise, I do distinctly remember having a complaint, thinking, well, haven't we done this already? Isn't it about time we try something a little different? You know what I mean? Now, over the course of time of watching it over the last 3 years, and especially over the last week, leading into, while I did my marathon video and then leading into this new one, I feel like that complaint kind of just slowly faded away, mostly because I wouldn't say I was more compelled, but at least I understood a lot better the story that was going on here in terms of the family and just the overall heart-wrenching aspect of watching this family being ripped apart from the inside, just one chip at a time. So that complaint kind of faded away, but I feel like if they'd have done that exact same formula once again, that would have been a heavy complaint for me personally. But this one, it's a little different. Now, for the mixed reaction portion, this may be weighing a little bit too much into spoiler territory, but just in case it is, I'm going to go ahead and put in the description box the different chapters that I'm talking about, positive, mixed, negative, whatever. So at this point, if you don't want to hear my mixed reaction before you've had a chance to see the film, go ahead and feel free to pause the video and just move on to the negatives at this point, just as a precaution. Just in case, because again, I don't want to ruin things for people, but I really want to talk about this. I have to be specific in order to get my point across. So, as I was saying, in this movie, it is a little different. The fact that we start out the movie with the Jessica Deadite from the previous film, as I mentioned before, she ends up, I'd say, infecting Will after he has his car accident in the beginning of the film, and basically does something we've never seen before and actually reads the incantation from memory. And essentially what she's doing is she's passing on the evil to Will, making him the new Deadite, the new person who's infected for this particular film. So, and this happens in the first 10 minutes. So right off the bat, you're already doing something a little bit different than what we're used to in the franchise, how usually it's so far into it before somebody gets infected. So interesting idea. Now, whether or not, and the reason why I put this down as mixed is because I'm not 100% how I feel about this. On one side, I appreciate them trying something different. But the other side of it is that, well, this is pretty different. I don't know how I feel about a Deadite actually reading the incantation. You know what I mean? To infect somebody. At first I was confused, but after watching it the third time, I understand it was more about transferring the evil as opposed to making it rise, so to speak. For me, it's going to be a question through the course of time whether or not this becomes more of a positive or a negative to me. Right now, I'm just undecided. It kind of reminds me of Halloween Ends when that movie came out. And I remember people shit the bed when that movie came out. People were crapping all over it. The idea that it was way too different than what we've seen before. Personally, Halloween Ends is one of my favorite of the franchise. Now, I'm not going to pretend, before you start screaming at me through the screen, I'm not going to pretend like it's a perfect movie, nor am I going to say that it doesn't have its flaws. It does. There are some things I don't care for, but some of the aspects they went with, going in a different direction and trying a different formula, I appreciated what they did. And that's why that movie is actually one of my favorites of the franchise for that sole reason. That one and Halloween 3 are two of my favorites of the entire franchise because they tried something different. I'm just saying. So that's how so right now that is a mixed reaction for me. Time will tell if I go more positive versus negative as time goes on. Maybe after Wrath comes out and see what they do with that movie, maybe that will influence my overall opinion is what I mean to say. Sorry, I think I babbled a little too much there, but I just had to get that point across. And this brings me to the couple of things about the movie that just don't work for me, things I don't care for. The main one for me is more a story-based complaint, and that is I don't truly feel like we really get to know these characters as well as we could before the carnage starts. I feel like there's only a limited amount of development that we get for all these people before everything goes wrong. And with the previous two films, they do a good job, for the most part, letting us get to know these characters. That way it's more heart-wrenching whenever they go through what they're going through. But with this one, some of these characters I don't care for. Like, the mother is a complete bitch as far as I'm concerned. She treats Alice like crap. She even goes so far as to try to blame Alice for everything that's going wrong as it pertains to her son and everything else that's going on around them. It's like, whatever. What are you talking about? But the father, before he gets overtaken, we don't really get to know anything about him. To be fair, it is a little sad and depressing when him dealing with the fact that his son's not around. Being a father myself, one of my greatest fears is outliving my son. I don't think that should happen. But it's like King Theoden in freaking Two Towers after he finds out his son passed away, and he has that scene where he talks about no father should ever have to bury their own son. I'm paraphrasing that, I think, but it's similar to that. I feel bad for the guy. But aside from that, we don't really get to know him or anything about his relationship with the mother character whatsoever. Well, we get some weird shit later on, but I digress. And really, even the main focus here, it seems like it's more on Will and Alice, but because Will gets taken out very quickly, we don't get too much interaction between these two characters. And one of the main aspects of this film is that this character, Alice, is dealing with abuse towards Will. They set up some breadcrumbs along the way, some little tidbits that give the impression of maybe he was an abusive husband to her. But without getting too specific, I don't know if I really believe that he really was abusive because I feel like they don't give us enough. I'm not saying I want to see more of her being abused or anything. I really don't. I can't stand that kind of crap. But I'm talking about story elements, details along the way that point you in one direction versus not giving you enough to where it becomes more hearsay versus fact. And that's what I feel like they did with these characters. They didn't give us enough detail, not enough story. And that I really enjoy story to go along with any movie, whether it's a horror movie or not. So that's just how I feel about it. I mean, if there's any two characters I don't get really a whole lot of story behind that I do feel sorry for, it's probably Thea and the grandmother. Mostly because Thea tries to be a really nice person to pretty much everyone around her. She tries to be really supportive of everybody. And on top of that, Grandma has a problem. She's been sick for a long time from what we hear. They never get specific about it. While both CJ and Scubacabra, they both say that they found her to be funny, which, to be fair, she does have a few things that she does and says, a few, like a scene here and there, that do get a bit of a chuckle. Otherwise, knowing that she is sick, a lot of the things that she does and says come off more sad and a little bit tragic, knowing that she does have a bit of a memory problem. I'm thinking probably Alzheimer's. If there's anything else that I would complain about, that it's more of a nitpick than anything, and that is the lack of humor in this movie. Now, the last two films have been completely devoid of humor for the most part, and I didn't have a problem with that. But after two films of mostly just serious tone, awesome carnage going out throughout the entire film, I think with this one, I would have appreciated if maybe we were given just one character along the way who essentially was supposed to be the comic relief. You know, like they would be like the equivalent of an audience, the audience essentially, like commenting on different things that are going on, and most of their dialogue would come off as funny, humorous, hilarious, whatever the case may be, and we don't really get a whole lot of that. All right, I think that pretty much does it for my overall views on the movie, good versus bad at this point. I mean, overall, I think this is a pretty solid installment to the franchise. If I was to rank the movies, this one would probably go at the bottom of the totem pole, but that's not really to say that it's a bad movie. It's just that this is a great franchise, in my opinion. I don't think any single one of the previous 5 films are bad. Matter of fact, if you saw my Pete's House video that I uploaded a few days ago, I like every single one of them. There is not a single bad movie in this entire franchise. And even this one, again, not perfect. If I was to give it a rating, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. It's pretty solid. It could have been a little bit better. There's a couple of things that, they could have made a little bit better here and there. But otherwise, I enjoyed watching it, and I will own it when it comes out. You better have bonus features this time. That's all I'm saying, because Rise didn't have any. But that's okay. I'll find a copy that does have features. It's okay. I'm not going to get too upset about that. Now, before I sign off for the whole video, there was the last thing that I mentioned before that I wanted to talk about. So at this point, going forward for this last part, I'm implementing a spoiler warning. So if you haven't seen the movie before and you're watching this, stop now, because I am going to get specific about something that happens, because there is just to make it aware, there is a mid-credit scene and there's an end-credit scene. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, stop now, because I'm going to get specific about this, because I really want to talk about this. But at this point, here we go. Now, I'm not going to talk about the mid-credit scene. I'm more focusing on the end-credit scene. So, essentially, we go back to the funeral home. You got the mother, the one that runs the place. She's with her daughter, and apparently her daughter has to be there on a Saturday, and she sees this shelf with all these different urns with ashes on them and starts asking her mom about it. Her mom talks about, oh yeah, sometimes family members don't come to pick up their urns. We leave them there in hopes that maybe one day they will remember and come back. Little girl's looking through some of the names. There's one particular name, Christopher Leora, I think it was. I looked it up. There's no importance. However, the other name she looks up is Ellie Bixler, who you may remember as the mother character who became the main focus deadite from the previous film, Evil Dead Rise. So, okay, what happens is that she looks at it. She ends up looking in the mirror and actually sees the reflection of Ellie before she became a deadite. And then she looks behind her, and Ellie, as a deadite, is standing behind her, snaps her freaking neck. She kills the little girl. She straight up kills her, snaps her neck. The girl falls, and she just kind of looks down there and says, "Mommy is back." And that's it. That's the whole scene. Now, I will admit, the first time I saw it, my reaction was my jaw dropped. I was like, what the hell is she doing there? What's going on? Holy crap. They brought her back. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. All right, that was my initial reaction. Then my brain kicked in, and I started thinking about this, and quite frankly, I don't think this makes a whole lot of sense, but we'll have to wait and see what happens again with the next movie and see what they're setting up. But what I'm talking about is that these are supposed to be urns with ashes, okay? Going back to Evil Dead Rise, again, spoilers. At the end of that movie, you had Ellie, along with her two oldest siblings, who were all deadites, they ended up forming together an amalgamation, if you will, to make a different creature that we've never seen before in the Evil Dead franchise, where essentially it was a three-headed monster with a whole bunch of limbs coming out, essentially. And at the end of the movie, Auntie Beth, I believe her name was, takes the chainsaw and basically forces this particular entity, this amalgamation, if you will, into a wood chipper. Okay? Pushes the whole entire creature into the wood chipper, so pretty much all that's left is mush and blood. So here's my question. Where the hell did they get the ashes from? What'd they do? Scoop up all the random parts together and burn them and then put them in the urn? Why would you even do that? Like, what was the point? I don't understand that at all. That right there is questionable. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that's what they did. Okay? Here's my other problem with this. Where are the other two siblings in this whole grand scheme of things? There's a whole mesh that comes from this amalgamation, as I said, of these three people together. How in the hell are you going to separate the mush from all three of these different people to go into three separate urns? Maybe I'm overthinking this, I don't know, but this needs to be answered. Maybe down the road they're going to have the other siblings come back as well. That would be interesting, considering that those two actors have actually grown up considerably in the last couple of years. It may not look right, whatever, I'm sure they have ways around it, but this is my point. Why is it we only get the one as opposed to the other two? And again, how do you get ashes from all this? Like, I don't understand this. This makes no sense to me whatsoever. Here's the other aspect of it, because I'm happy I went back and watched all the films again, because they have never brought back a deadite who was killed off at any point in time that I can remember. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but typically the way it goes is that, especially with the last two films, when you're a deadite, once you suffer so much damage, you're pretty much done at that point, with the exception of this amalgamation that I talked about before. But I just don't understand it. So we're bringing back former deadites, so that makes me wonder, if you can find a way to do that where it actually makes sense, does that mean we might see other returnees along the way? Do they have bigger plans for this? Because we already know they're making another one. It's called Evil Dead Wrath. Comes out in 2 years. I am interested to see where the hell they're going to go with this in order to have this make some kind of sense. Because right now, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's awesome. It's still awesome for what it is to see her come back. And I'm so happy to see this actress come back. Her performance was the best of the previous film. I loved her character as a deadite. She was so much fun. She clearly was having so much fun playing the character. So it's cool to see her come back. But it only works if it makes sense. So at this point, we're just going to have to wait. We're just going to have to wait. And I think that's rant over, because that's what I wanted to say about that. I could go a little bit deeper into it, but I feel like at this point, I'm already crossing the half-hour mark, and I don't think anybody wants to hear me babble anymore. So I'll go ahead and end the video here at this point. I will say what I do find funny about this is that after watching this movie today, CJ went with me and I was explaining this very same exact thing to her as we were walking out. And she ends up asking me, well, have you seen Cody Leach's video? And I said, no, I don't watch the videos before I do mine. You know what I mean? Which I can't wait to see what he's fully got to say about the movie now. But no, I hadn't. So she actually pulled up the video and only played the tail end, because he felt like he had to talk about this particular part of the movie as well. I find it funny that after I literally just got done telling her how I felt about it, and then I heard him talk about it, I looked at her and I was like, he said almost exactly word for word what I just said. She started laughing. I got a chuckle out of it, and I thought that was pretty damn hilarious. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for my review of Evil Dead Burn. I did enjoy it. I do look forward to owning it, as I said before. So go check it out for yourself. See what you think. And if you do end up watching it, as I mentioned before, feel free to let me know in the comments if you like it, you don't like it, you think it's a good addition, you think it's not a good addition. Opinions are all welcome here. No big deal. Going forward, the Psycho Nerd will be making a return to this channel very soon, but you can still find him over on my brother's channel, his YouTube channel. which I do 2 different podcasts. That's going to be Reel Zodiac Productions. We do the Real Movie Critics. Myself, Lord Scubacabra, and Zodiac. We do movie reviews every week. Movies that are currently in theaters versus some old classics. Maybe some that are not so much classics. It happens. There's one in particular, but we won't talk about that. And of course, we have the Josh Zodiac Podcast, where we review various different wrestling shows. He revamped the show about a month ago. So now, instead of doing weekly updates on WWE Raw and SmackDown and whatnot, we're basically just reviewing current PLEs as they happen, whichever ones we actually get a chance to watch. And we also do classic reviews of old pay-per-views, from different companies. WWE, maybe some WCW down the road, AEW, NXT, all that good stuff. But I'll leave a description, or I'll leave details down in the description for how to listen to all these different podcasts. But in closing, everybody, take care of yourselves. Please be safe. But don't forget to have fun. Just not too much fun.